Let us for a few moments turn our mind inwards, pray to Sri Ramakrishna for peace and prosperity of the whole humanity. Hari Om Tat Sat. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Om Stabhakaya cha dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Sthapakaya cha dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Avatar Varishtaya Ramakrishna Te Namaha. Asato ma sadgamaya Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya Asato ma sadgamaya Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya Mrityormamritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, who gave practical instructions to follow spiritual life, who awakened the spirit of discrimination that helps us to know God, who inspired us about the reality of the truth. He declared emphatically, God can be realized. The purpose of human birth is to realize Him. And how to realize that Paramatman? By undergoing spiritual disciplines which Sri Ramakrishna himself practiced in his life and has given wonderful guidance for us to follow. Sri Ramakrishna said, I have prepared everything, rice, dal, whatever that is required for the nourishment. But you have to take it. Food is ready. You have to take the food inside. Then you will get nourishment. You will get wonderful results. So Sri Ramakrishna's ideas go deep into our heart because they are supported by Sri Ramakrishna's own experience of the truth. There is no ambiguity, there is no conflict in the name of religion or about the existence of God. Everything is made clear. In spite of all these things, we are still blind, totally blind to understand things. As long as we are blind, there is no way to get rid of from suffering. We have become blind. Why? Because we have lost all the powers of the mind. We have reduced the mind to some useless matter. It has lost its wonderful special powers because of its continuous dissipation of energy in the world. It has become completely wet matchstick. Wet matchstick, you strike it on the matchbox, you won't get light. Mind has become like that. It has become blunted, dull, unwitted. So, we are suffering. We are not to suffer. We need not have to suffer. We have come to this world not for simply suffering. We have come to this world to experience the divine bliss. World is the forum for us to have that wonderful experience of truth. To walk in the forest, wear the shoes and enjoy the nature of the forest. Walk along. In the same way, rely upon God, remember Him, and then carry on your work in the world. You will enjoy it better. So what Sri Ramakrishna is emphasizing here is that awakening of the spirit of discrimination, Viveka, in Sanskrit it is called, makes one to know God. What we see in this world, people love deeply unreal things that are available in abundance. In that process, they become more and more involved, committed, as if they and world are inseparable. They desire more and more comforts, want to attain name and fame, power, position, wealth. So, they are kept ever busy in one way or other in the world. Consequently, they are caught up by pleasure and pain resulting from the success or failure of their actions. Their mind is fully preoccupied with unsatiated desires, multitude of desires. There is no awakening of discrimination as yet in such people. They simply laugh over that. If you talk about discrimination, what this fellow is talking about discrimination? He's a madcap. We are all very wise. We know how to enjoy this world. This poor fellow does not know even how to eat. So they make fun. They make fun of those who practice spirituality. So much they have completely been lost in this world. What exactly the discrimination means? It is the reasoning by which one is able to determine the real and the unreal. Real means eternal and unreal means impermanent. So by constantly practicing discrimination, one comes to know that God is the only substance and all else is non-existent. With the awakening of discrimination, one longs to know God. Then only the mind is turned inwards. Now all our mind is outward. Though we may close our eyes and sit in the chapel, the mind is outside. We don't know how to bring the mind inside as long as we have not developed the faculty of discrimination. Once the mind is made to turn inwards, then one thinks of truth. If one moves about with discrimination as one's friend, one doesn't fall prey even to great temptations. Whenever our mind runs after worldly things, we must apply discrimination. Look, these sense objects which are in a way causing disturbance, they are impermanent. They are deluding us. They come and go. Thus thinking, we should take a stand, firm stand. What is that stand? We should be satisfied with whatever we need for our daily living and shouldn't desire more. Too many worldly belongings displace the thought of the reality from the mind. The reality is one, and that is Brahman, God. He alone is real and everything else is unreal. Everything else is changing continuously. The Paramatma is non-changing reality. We should impress these thoughts again and again upon the mind. That needs our frequent association with men of spirituality. That makes our discrimination more effective. Suppose you take an example of a house. What is it after all? If you analyze it, it is nothing but a conglomeration of atoms. So is the body. If you push the discrimination further, it will reduce even the atoms to one entity, the absolute existence. Sri Ramakrishna said, the palmyra tree is true and not its branches or fruits, for they drop off. Brahman alone is real. Worlds come and go. Creations come, remain for some time, then get dissolved. Again, creation starts. It goes on, cycle. But behind this round of cycle, the non-changing, eternal, permanent existence is the Supreme God. So knowledge, the sun of knowledge dawns when discrimination is perfect. Hence discrimination has such tremendous value. The function of the heart is love and devotion, and that of the brain is to discriminate between the good and bad. That is the area of the brain. What we should do is that this love and this discrimination have to be combined for the purpose of knowing God. lust for wealth, power, and other pleasures blinds one of all the power of discrimination. At present, when our mind is totally colored by the desires, when it is totally preoccupied by the desires, it cannot understand the meaning of discrimination. Discrimination has no value in such a mind. So, how far we have allowed the mind to degrade to such an extent? That's to be properly examined. There are so many instances how people get into lots of trouble because of the want of discrimination. So, getting rid of the desires from the mind is a must for spiritual growth. Otherwise, you will not enjoy the spiritual ideas at all. Mind wants to run away. Just as people said to their friends, how long you are sitting in front of Sri Ramakrishna to hear about what he is talking? Then those friends said, no, we want to hear all his words are words of wisdom, we want to hear. Or did you keep on hearing? We will wait for you in the boat. They could not stay there because their mind is full of worldly desires. There are many examples. You know the story how Duryodhana, the king of Kauravas, he went to Dwarka to meet Lord Krishna to take him to his side before the war began, the famous war between Pandavas and Kauravas. Duryodhana went there earlier than Arjun. Arjun went later, probably about 5-10 minutes late. But by then Duryodhana had already gone there. He has gone inside. The Swamiji, Sri Krishna, Lord Krishna is sleeping, taking rest. And he just went inside Krishna's bedroom. He was full of pride, full of egoism. I am the king. I am the ruler of everybody. I am such an important person. So important person must have important seat for him to sit. So I should sit by the side of Krishna. So he selected a place where he could sit, where Krishna's head was lying. He didn't choose to sit at the feet of Krishna. He had that pride, I am the king. About 10 minutes later, Arjun came. He was not even aware that Duryodhana has come. He simply ran and sat at the feet of Lord Krishna in all humbleness. He was so joyful because it is not easy to get the lotus feet of Krishna so easily. But Arjun got it, in spite of Duryodhana coming earlier. He was unfortunate because his mind was full of desires for name, power, position, wealth, etc. So his intellect has become dull. He couldn't think properly. Even when Krishna offered him, what do you want, Duryodhana? Duryodhana was telling, I am coming for the first time. I came first. So you must hear me first. Before you ask Arjun, you must first hear me. Then Krishna asked, what do you want? The war would begin. I want your support. Then Lord Krishna put before him the option. Well, vast army of Yadavas, so many chariots, so many horses, so many infantry, people, soldiers. The whole thing is there, ready to fight with all arms, weapons, everything is ready. Do you want them on your side? Or do you want me? I don't fight. Just I'll be by your side. You choose. Because his intellect was so dull, he had lost all power of discrimination. He doesn't know the meaning of reasoning at all. So he opted, I am getting so many thousands of infantry, soldiers. Why should I have to bother about one Krishna? I have got so many people to fight for me. So he opted the army, Yadava army, rather than Krishna. When the question was asked to Arjun, Arjun was shedding tears. Oh Lord, I want you. Let the whole world be given to Duryodhana if you want, but I want you. Krishna was immensely pleased. So, Arjun could get the realization of Lord Krishna. He got the message of Bhagavad Gita through Sri Krishna, whereas Duryodhana, just like anybody else, fought in the war and killed not only himself, he was responsible for the wiping out of the whole Kaurava race. How desires ruin a person. First it destroys the mind, then it destroys the man. So there are many instances like that. Even in Ramayana, if you happen to see the great Asura, Ravan, full of lust, full of power, full of glory. He was aspiring for glory. He wants to be known to the whole world. He even went to the heavens to fight with gods. And he even succeeded. Even Agni, Varuna, Shani, all these presiding deities of the planets, they were all serving Ravanasur just like slaves. They were so frightened by this power. And he was enjoying that power so immensely, he lost all power of discrimination. In fact, when he went to solitary place to do austerities, to please Brahma, to get boons, when Brahma arrived and asked him what boons he wanted, he didn't want realization of God. He said, I want this, I want that, I want nobody should kill me. I want this power. He was aspiring for more and more power, more and more glory, everything. Brahma granted him, all that, you will have everything. Enjoy. He became so drunk with a desire of enjoyment. He even was not satisfied with his own wife and women. He even abducted Sri Ramachandra's consort, Sita. In spite of the advice given by Vibhishan not to do that, he didn't heed the advice. He thought there is nobody to challenge him. He can do anything. So like that we have got many instances. Even in ordinary worldly life also, you can see people, how they behave. God cannot be known by the impure mind. That is, the mind full of desires. He can be known only by the pure mind. God reflects completely in the mind free from all dust of impurities. Sri Ramakrishna has made this point very clear. We must cultivate the power of discrimination. We should take refuge in God. There's one way to keep our ego under control. What power do we have? Sri Ramakrishna tells that. What power man has got? Take refuge in the Paramatman. He will deliver you from all sins, whatever sins you might have committed. Everything will be just burnt away. It will be burnt away. It will be washed away. All the sins will be washed away. And He will give right understanding. He will take complete responsibility for you. But that initial faith we must have. Initial faith. Yes, God is there to take care of the whole universe. Does He not take care of me? The part and parcel of the universe. So Sri Ramakrishna tells, take refuge in God, then carry on your duties. When you take refuge in God, you must be very careful about doing your duties and responsibilities in a proper way, not in a shabby way. We should do the jobs in such a way as an offering to God. Then only the power of discrimination awakens in our heart. That's what Sri Ramakrishna wants. He awakened the spirit of discrimination, by the power of which we would be able to know God. So these are the 2 points which I wanted to tell you. To cultivate the power of discrimination, to take refuge in God. That completes the chapter 15. Now I begin chapter 16 with the devotees at Dakshineshwar. Sri Ramakrishna was seated on the small couch in his room with Adhar, Manmohan, Rakhal, M, Harish and other devotees. It was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The Master was describing to them the exalted state of Sri Chaitanya. Sri Ramakrishna said, Chaitanya experienced 3 states of mind. First, the conscious state, when his mind dwelt on the gross and the subtle. Second, the semi-conscious state, when his mind entered the causal body and was absorbed in the bliss of divine intoxication. Third, the inmost state, when his mind was merged in the great cause. This agrees very well with the 5 koshas or sheets described in the Vedanta. The gross body corresponds to the Annamaya kosha and the Pranamaya kosha, the subtle body to the Manomaya kosha and the Vijnanamaya kosha, and the causal body to the Anandamaya kosha. The Mahakaran, the great cause, is beyond the 5 sheets. When Chaitanya's mind merged in that, he would go into Samadhi. This is called the Nirvikalpa or Jada Samadhi. While conscious of the outer world, Chaitanya sang the name of God. While in the state of partial consciousness, he danced with the devotees. And while in the inmost state of consciousness, he remained absorbed in Samadhi. Master Mahasaya said to himself, is the Master hinting at the different states of his own mind? There is much similarity between Chaitanya and the Master. Master said, Chaitanya was divine love incarnate. He came down to earth to teach people how to love God. One achieves everything when one loves God. There is no need of Hatha Yoga. A devotee asked, Sir, what is Hatha Yoga like? Sri Ramakrishna said, a man practicing Hatha Yoga dwells a great deal on his body. He washes his intestines by means of a bamboo tube through his anus. He draws ghee and milk through his sexual organ. He learns how to manipulate his tongue by performing exercises. He sits in a fixed posture and now and then levitates. All these are actions of prana. A magician was performing his feats when his tongue turned up and clove to the roof of his mouth. Immediately his body became motionless. People thought he was dead. He was buried and remained many years in the grave. After a long time, the grave somehow broke open. Suddenly the man regained consciousness of the world and cried out, "Come delusion, come confusion, all love." All these are actions of prana. The Vedantists do not accept Hatha Yoga. There is also Raja Yoga. Raja Yoga describes how to achieve union with God through the mind by means of discrimination and bhakti. This yoga is good. Hatha Yoga is not good. The life of a man in the Kali Yuga is dependent on food. Sri Ramakrishna was standing in the road by the side of the Nahabat. He was on his way to his room. Having come from the pine grove, he saw a M seated on the veranda of the Nahabat, behind the fence, absorbed in meditation. Sri Ramakrishna said, "Hello, you are here. You will get results very soon. If you practice a little, then someone will come forward to help you." Yam looked up at the master. Startled, he remained sitting on the floor. Master said, "The time is ripe for you. The mother bird doesn't break the shell of the egg until the right time arrives. What I told you is indeed your ideal." Sri Ramakrishna again mentioned to him his spiritual ideal. Master said, "It is not necessary for all to practice great austerity, but I went through great suffering. I used to lie on the ground with my head resting on a mound for a pillow. I hardly noticed the passing of the days. I only called on God and wept, 'O Mother, O Mother.'" M had been visiting Sri Ramakrishna for the past 2 years. Since he had been educated along English lines, he had acquired a fondness for Western philosophy and science and had liked to hear Keshav and other scholars lecture. Sri Ramakrishna would address him now and then as the Englishman. Since coming to Sri Ramakrishna, M had lost all relish for lectures and for books written by English scholars. The only thing that appealed to him now was to see the Master day and night and hear the words that fell from his blessed lips. M constantly dwelt on certain of Sri Ramakrishna's sayings. The Master had said, "One can certainly see God through the practice of spiritual discipline." And again, the division of God is the only goal of human life. Master said to him, "If you practice only a little, someone will come forward to tell you the right path. Observe the Ekadashi. You are my very own, my relative. Otherwise, why should you come here so frequently?" While listening to the Kirtan, I had a vision of Rakal in the midst of Sri Krishna's companions in Vrindavan. Narendra belongs to a very high level. Hirananda too, a devotee of the Master from Sindh. How childlike his nature is. What a sweet disposition he has. I want to see him too. Once I saw the companions of Chaitanya not in a trance but with these very eyes. Formerly I was in such an exalted state of mind that I could see all these things with my naked eyes, but now I see them in Samadhi. I saw the companions of Chaitanya with these naked eyes. I think I saw you there and Balram too. You must have noticed that when I see certain people, I jump up with a start. Do you know why? A man feels that way when he sees his own people after a long time. We shall stop here. You can ask question. God has provided all the faculties. He has given this world of opposites, good and bad, light and darkness. It is full of these things. He wants us to play our part nicely. That's all the purpose. As far as God is concerned, He is not discriminating between men and men, between persons. So each one is put into this world to achieve its goal. Each one wants to play. God can give liberation to everyone by a simple touch. But He loves that we should try a bit how we conduct ourselves in the game, and then we meet with success. As Sri Ramakrishna himself has suggested, we must do little effort, then help will come. Somebody will come and help us. That's the thing. So, sometimes when the mind is too much involved in the worldly affairs, at some point of time, it has to change its course. It has to change its course. It can't go on like that forever. Only it's a circuitous path, long route, going through the satisfaction of desires is compared to a long journey. We are all journeying only. We are all journeying towards the reality. But there are so many ways of reaching the truth, and Sri Ramakrishna is suggesting so many ways how we can easily conduct ourselves without much difficulty. We can live the life also very well, happily. At the same time, we can become spiritual. That's all. Yes. Anybody asking any question? The point here is a person who engages himself in Hatha Yoga becomes more and more, becomes body conscious. He becomes more and more concerned with the body rather than the spirit inside the body. His whole day is engaged in just keeping his body beautiful and trying to do many adventures, etc. But how it is helpful to Raja Yoga, preliminary means Raja Yoga, if you just tells you to take up one posture, sitting posture for meditation, that's all. It doesn't ask you to do all sorts of Hatha Yoga practices there. So Hatha Yoga, it is concerned, the objective of Hatha Yoga is to keep one's body in a trim condition. So he becomes more and more concentrated on his body rather than the spirit within. That's the idea, what Sri Ramakrishna is telling. We should not give so much of attention to that. On the other hand, we should try to practice love, devotion and spiritual other disciplines so that the mind is freed from desires which are pulling us down from the highest level. In Kali Yuga, the life is very short compared to the other yugas. So we are dependent upon food. So you can't have the same type of practice which the people in those other yugas would do. So the easiest way in this particular age is to practice devotion. It is not that other yogas cannot be practiced at all, but normally speaking, ordinarily, it is easier to practice path of devotion rather than the other yoga. Of course, Karma Yoga is also prescribed to maintain the purity of the mind. Karma Yoga is done to purify the mind, like that. Easier means it's not much difficult for the person to practice devotion compared to the other yogas. Other yogas you have to practice rigorous disciplines which are not possible for you. That's the idea. How far we are able to do the things. Your body should cooperate with the disciplines what you are undergoing. With the weak body and weak mind, what kind of spiritual discipline, what kind of Hatha Yoga you can do? First of all, if body itself is not strong, so then what is the way? There are other ways are there, you follow that. That's the meaning. But the initial free will must be there. Unless you desire, how can you have entrance at all? First that initial desire should come. The initial desire, I must try to live a spiritual life. That desire you can definitely entertain. You are free to have that will, but it comes to effect only if it is strong. Otherwise it comes and goes away. That means many times we think, but we are not very serious about what we are thinking. And so we are not exerting our will properly, though we have been given that faculty. So the will to choose between good and pleasant is always there. But then again, what I am telling, to exercise proper will, you must have the power of discrimination, which I touched today, which Ramakrishna has said. Power of discrimination, that faculty, you have to develop nicely. So that means the training is required for everything, whatever it is. All the power is in us, in every one of us. The power is dormant. So how to manifest that power? That's the question now. Each one has that power. But it is dormant. If it is not there, then you can't do anything. Because the power is there, you can manifest it. That hope is there always. So how to do that? To do that, you have to come constantly in touch with the spiritual ideas given by Sri Ramakrishna and other great people who are in the field. Take any one of the ideas according to your temperament and follow it up. That's all what is needed. So that is why we feel joy in this world, that the free will, all these things come when you have the feeling that you are the agent. But that identification with that little ego is kept in person so that the activities of the world can go on. That's the idea behind that. But we should use it properly and enjoy the benefits of life. That's the point. Anything else? Yeah, that is true. That's why Sri Ramakrishna has come and given us awakening in so many areas. Is it not? Yeah. Sri Ramakrishna and all spiritual masters, they are coming and giving awakening only. They come to give awakening. So, out of millions, maybe a few hundreds get that awakening. It's all right. As Vivekananda says, even if one person is able to follow the truth, I really feel blessed. Even for the sake of one person, I am able to take any number of births to help him. That's the heart of Swami Vivekananda. With that idea only he came to America and he addressed the parliament just to give an awakening. He broadcasted the Vedantic ideas so that all people can have the benefit of that. That's it. Yeah. No, free will, it only initiates you to decide. Let me go to the chapel. Shall I go to the chapel? Today I hear there is a storm. Should I go? Is it safe to go? So that the question comes there. So to choose between going and not going, that lies with you. So if you will, no, I must go. If you are really serious about that will, then the result will follow. That's the point. Now, God's help is required at all levels. Even to exert your little effort, God's grace is very, 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 very important. Free will is just a faculty God has given you so that by using that you may feel a kind of satisfaction that I have done like this. That's all. But you will understand that everything is God's will only. Even your so-called free will is also God's will. That you will understand only when you realize the ultimate truth. Till then, we simply assume and think that I am trying to do this, etc. So, to start with, you should go like that. But at every stage, God's guidance and God's help and God's grace are there every time, every occasion. It is always there. Even in suffering also, God's grace is there. If we really understand the meaning of suffering. To give an example, taking the case of Pandavas, throughout her life, Kunti was subjected to lot of humiliations. Even before marriage, lot of humiliations. It is really a wonder how could she live. But with all that, she was feeling that her life is not a waste. Because she said, "Oh Krishna, because of this suffering continuously, I am always remembering you. But remembering you makes me always happy in spite of suffering. So, I am not afraid of suffering. If you want to give me birth again, give me suffering so that I may not forget you." See? So, no, the ultimate reality, for the moment we are not aware of it. Once you become aware of it, then you will know everything is same. Till then, it is not so, because I have not realized it. It's only the idea that I have heard. But I have to realize the truth. Once you realize the truth, then you will know, yes, it is true, like that. Yeah. Then only you will know that everything is God's will, everything is done by God. We are not doing anything. Even telling I am doing, it's all foolishness. It has no meaning at all. It is God Himself doing everything. Very good. We shall conclude. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust, raging furiously within. O name, stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self, drowned deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar at every step, bathing in His name, that bath for weary souls. Various are Thy names, O Lord, in each and every name Thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of Thy name. So vast is Thy mercy, how huge then is my assuredness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to Thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree, take no honor to thyself, give honor to all, chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and Soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue. The playthings of lust are the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for Thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is Thy servant, O sweet one. In Thy mercy consider him as dust beneath Thy feet. Oh, how I long for the day when an instant's separation from Thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with this desire, and the world without Thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at Thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of Thine arms, not bewailing the withdrawal of Thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stealest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth. May all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.